Hello. In this video, I wanted to do a 25-minute grind session. I never have done these types of videos before, and I thought it'd be worthwhile because I've been reading Ernest Norland's book Perspective Made Easy, and there's a lot of things that I just need to grind here on because I'm still just pretty bad at it. So I thought I'd do some plates, bins, and lamps. And just know these are things I'm not used to drawing, so I am pretty bad at them. But it's all about trying to get past that, trying to work hard and get better. So I thought I would set this session to 25 minutes because in general I talk about the Pomodoro technique. I'll talk as I go a little bit, but yeah, I think the Pomodoro technique is extremely important in pacing yourself, avoiding burnout, but avoiding burnout when you do these is extremely important because I have mitigated burnout multiple times by just by taking breaks. I mean, it's not enough to like drawing. You do have to pace yourself as much as you like it, or eventually your mind will take a break for you. And if you do it too much, there's a good chance that your brain will refuse. And like, I feel like a good level of burnout is outside of your control. In which I think I have hit days in which I feel like I cannot do any more. Even though I have the mindset in which I think I can, my brain's off for the day. I mean, this is probably really bad that I'm making this video right now because it is 8:15 p.m. and in general, I decline around when 8 p.m. hits, which is really disappointing because the only time I have to draw is later in the day. Usually I don't even start drawing until 6 p.m. So, and the problem with that is I only have a 2-hour window in which I'm efficient until I start getting tired. I realize coffee kind of helps, not so much. So I will try my best and put it on the clock. So 25 minutes are starting now. But yeah, I'm going to talk as I go. And the book, even though in some cases you draw from a drawing, which is usually not suggested, I do find a lot of the examples to be very, very important. I'm going to do a lot of bad ones. But the whole point of this grind session is I'm going to show, you look at your reference, you try to get better, you look at your reference, you try to get better at it, and you do it again and again and again. You can't see my setup, but I got this, it's kind of like a heavy-duty textbook holder. I find it really beneficial. You could just find one anywhere, but it's just like a slab of wood with a little overhang shelf on the bottom to hold the book, and it has two little arms to hold your book open, and I think it worked for pretty heavy duty books. I also attached a little it says Vecchia. It's like a little book lamp, and I could just turn it on. Oops. It's like a little book lamp, and it keeps the page illuminated. I really like it. The only thing that's weird with it is that it doesn't take batteries. It's rechargeable. I never had it die on me yet, but it's just, I find it so weird that I have to charge my book light with my laptop. But yeah, it's really cool. I like the setup. I have to say, I really like the setup. In general, though, you do not always want to draw from a drawing. I found, I know I do that pretty much exclusively. I think there are some instances in which it's permitted to draw from a drawing. Drawing from life is kind of a challenge in itself, but I think the big benefit to drawing from photos that a lot of people forget is that one, it's captured, so things that move a lot. You may not always have time to draw a fly. I may show a demonstration of how to draw a fly, but the thing about that is flies, they have poop to eat. They're not sticking around for me to draw them. They're going to they need to eat a meal of waste and fly away. Yeah, there's no sugarcoating that, okay? Look, a lot of bugs. Hey, a lot of people are really grossed out by a lot of bugs. They're extremely important for waste removal and handling all of that. And it's a whole ecosystem that we live with. And it's important to know that that what they do, how they help. Uh, but the purpose I'm trying to say here is that a photo, like, it gives me time to study them that I otherwise wouldn't have time to do. I mean, you really have to think of it like that. I always wonder if the masters in art, uh, the greats in art, would use photos, because I feel like a lot of them existed during times when they didn't have that. Like they had things like camera obscura, which even that could be considered controversial, because that's kind of like that's like kind of using a device to trace, which is something interesting that a lot of like I think certain Dutch masters have used. Um, people may not even consider that. Like people may consider that into the realm of cheating in some sense. Um, but a lot of a lot of the Dutch masters, like yeah, they may have used that, but they also had to paint, and they had to like to get all the paint right for those to make it look like trying to paint human skin tone and all of that is just like such a skill. So say it what it is, call it whatever you want to, but the point I'm trying to say is I wonder if they would use photos, even though they are a bit I just wonder. Some people say draw nothing from life, or draw nothing but from life, and I always wonder, like, is that possible? Like, I don't know if I could draw, like, if I ever wanted to draw like a grizzly bear. I'm not waiting out in nature to do that. I don't, hey, I got one life here. I don't want to get mauled to death by a bear just for my chance to draw it. The other thing is, like, I feel like you have to follow. Good luck getting a bear out in the open that's not moving and may not decide to take a nibble out of your flesh. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure most bears stay away from people and they're not going to bite you. But like, it does make me think, if anything, if they're hungry enough, and if I perhaps smell like salmon, um, I don't know why. I'm just just thinking. I eat a lot of salmon, uh, fish. A little tip about myself. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, grinding. Yeah, I probably wouldn't talk if I would be doing a grinding session. Probably I wouldn't try to be too distracted. Eliminating all distractions is extremely important. Like I'm saying, no music. Finding a quiet place. Not even no background noise. No classical music. Nothing. The other thing I feel like people my age may deal with, or like kind of artists, dealing with any type of social media addiction. And I'm gonna say it. It's not your fault for being addicted to these things. Every application, everything is designed to be as addicting as possible. And the funny thing is, even like I could say I'm addicted to email. Like I check my email constantly. I shouldn't. Like a trick, a productivity trick that like I don't like to fall for all those productivity tricks. Because even the Pomodoro technique you use in moderation, like eventually you may say, I think I could draw for more than 25 minutes. Then do it. Try it. Just be careful that you don't burn yourself out. The thing is, all these productivity tips are kind of like there to help you, not to harm you or limit you. But like I said, balance it with burnout. But yeah, getting even email, like being addicted to it, like I thought of the cool thing in which limit, like only check your email twice a day. I think that's a pretty good thing. My job that I work, it requires me to just like be connected to my email all the time, and it's just like it's a little bit outrageous. The other thing I do, which I also monitor our social media. That's not my job. It's someone else's job, but like we do it to make sure we're not getting any like inappropriate comments or stuff like that. Which surprisingly we do sometimes get them. But yeah, monitoring that, like, it's just like, monitoring all these different social media. It's like I feel like my brain is rotting, you know. Because a big thing I do is I do like to study computer stuff frequently. I still do that, uh, and making sure you have to be you. Sorry, I'm going on the biggest tangent in the world with that. Okay, back to grinding. Look, good. That's a good example in which social media is so addicting that I feel like it takes a lot of people away from the things that they should be focusing on. Use it in moderation, but know that all of these things are meant to be as addicting as possible. I feel like many years from now, you feel like there's going to be some type of law regarding it. The only reason why I say that is because, like, if you think if 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 gambling is addictive, if or like any XYZ insert thing here can be addictive. I mean, those are the things that they're known for being addictive, but like a lot of social media is designed to be addictive. Like, I mean, gambling is, well, I wouldn't say gambling is, but like the thing is, like, a lot of these social media platforms, I do play the game when it comes to posting here and there. I think it can be kind of interesting keeping up to date. I'm not saying abandon social media entirely in any way. I mean, heck, I'm a YouTuber, so what do you say about that? But I am going to say that just make sure it's not eating every second of your time, because it probably does do a number on your short-term memory. But yeah, just be aware. I think being aware is probably a lot better. But yeah, I was talking about how years down the line, there is no way that like as many people are going to be able to get away with having as addicting algorithms. Like, I want to say, I don't know this for a fact, but I don't want to mention any. I don't want to get flagged. But I want to say there was one social media that, like, I think what they did, they wrote on like maybe like a whiteboard or a chalkboard. What, like, this is when people are sleeping. This is when people are eating. This is when people are in the bathroom. How can we fill up all of their other time with our social media? And you have to think that that sentence is very dated, because they mentioned eating and in the bathroom, and I'm feeling like most people, when they go to the bathroom or when they're eating, they're bringing social media with them in some form or another. So we are beyond the time. Like, the thing they only have to think about is when are people sleeping? I mean, maybe showering, but I mean, or bathing. Probably bathing and sleeping are the two things that they couldn't get around, unless they can make it so addicting that people don't take baths, or showers. Yeah, there probably are people who use it when they're taking a bath, but yeah, it's something to be aware of and cautious of, to keep yourself in check. I'm trying to draw a good plate. It's really hard. I'm trying to draw a plate. Haven't found one that I liked yet. But yeah, there's a lot of grinding involved until you could eventually get a good one. Perhaps I'm distracting myself by talking in this video. And I also say in a lot of my videos, even though no one's watching me as I make these videos, there is a certain level of performance anxiety that I feel like wouldn't be there if I was just not recording it. There's the bottom of the plate. Yeah, that one's actually okay. Where was I going with this? But yeah, grinding, like, if you ever do draw for fun, I would say in those instances, you can listen to music or some podcast or something like that, but do know that it's going to greatly hurt your improvement rate. I feel like small things disturb us and take us out of the zone. I want to say I was listening to the radio the other day, and they were talking about how if you live near a freeway or a highway, those sounds cause a stressing effect and kind of make people more, I think it was susceptible to heart issues, like heart attack and whatnot. And I found it very interesting. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And the funny thing about that is, like, I wanted to move to the city where my friends are. Is it weird to say that that kind of makes me worry a bit? You know, I'm thinking, like, okay, maybe I can make this work if I soundproof my room. But I'm like, you know, I don't know. Apparently they said it makes me worry, you know? I know it probably sounds a bit bizarre, but it kind of makes me feel bad for all the people who've been living there their entire lives, and it makes me wonder if it's been hitting them in some way, in some, you know, way, because, you know, we're not, I guess we're not really meant to be hearing those sounds all the time, you know, like, we're not born understanding what the sound of a truck makes, or, you know, like a diesel engine humming, or air brakes, which I hear all the time. Um, but yeah, it's things like that, or like an airplane, like, you know, you think things like that, you know, um, very distracting as much as you don't want to think about it. I mean, I remember a long, long time ago, probably in 2007, I stayed at a friend's house. He lived close to a river, and what made it really interesting, oh man, those were the days. We just played video games all night. Oh, that was so fun. But it was the first time staying at a place like where he lived, and it was like a bunch of townhouses, so it was really interesting living space. He didn't have a backyard, which I found really strange, but there was like an interesting area to explore, and I did, or we did, and I wanted to say there was a train track like probably no less than like 40 feet from his house or the townhouse, and it came so many times during the day, and it didn't just come, it blew the horn, because so I was like, oh, like I was like, it kept me up, and like my friend who lived there for a good majority of his life, yeah, he slept through it, didn't bother him at all, he didn't even hear it, and I'm like, how do you not hear that? It's so loud. um got used to it, I guess. So I'm like, okay, huh. I'm not getting any sleep, or I'm getting woken up every so amount of hours. Yeah, very, very interesting, I must say. So yeah, certain people find an inner peace with it. So another habit when you do these types of sessions, don't try not to look at the timer. Um, like I said, a 25-minute timer. I looked at it and I only have 9 minutes left, and I realized I didn't get as far as I wanted to. I've only been drawing plates, so yeah, that's gonna happen. It takes a lot of practice to get to a point to even draw something good. And as you can see, I just drew a bunch of not so much good stuff. Nothing really looks like a plate yet. So yeah, just know, you know, sometimes perhaps I set my ambitions too high. But you know, the other fact is I'm talking as I do this, which I normally wouldn't. So maybe I'll have to break this out into a few more drawing sessions. You know what? Just so I'm not a liar, I'm gonna draw a bin and a lamp, just to say that I did it. You know, just to say I gave the audience, I gave you, what the title promised, which is something I find very important. I don't want to be known as a title liar, as I spit on my screen. You would be surprised how many times I spit on my screen, which is totally unintentional. Good thing I have a microfiber cloth. Okay, now for a trash bin. But yeah, I wonder if people who get used to uh, sounds like that, if my one friend got used to it, I wonder if he is affected by that heart rate thing that I was saying before that I heard on the news. Makes me wonder. Because if they could ignore it, I wonder if they could ignore it on a subconscious level. Or if it somehow still contributes no matter what. And it kind of makes me wonder, even looping back to what I was talking about, social media, in which, you know, I feel like years from now everyone's going to say, like, I can't believe people were allowed to make things like that are addicting. I'm like, oh no, 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 no. Yeah, you know, I'm trying not to swear. But, yeah, for sure they did. You know, they were going to get away with what they can. Sad to say. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I guess every generation has that, and they're like, how could we allow that? You know, how could we ever have allowed that? And like, meanwhile, like my parents, like they grew up with like classrooms that were filled with asbestos because they remember it falling off the ceiling and the walls, and they were able to play with mercury on their hands. And I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. Makes you wonder. I sure hope they're okay. You know, and sorry, I hope I don't sound too much like a downer with everything I'm saying. Probably am, which is not my intention. There you go. I'm covering all of my bases here by promising a plate, a trash bin, and a lamp. So you can't say I didn't deliver on that title. Where was I going with that? So yeah, places to live. You know, regarding causing any type of stressor. Yeah, and you would think they do cause some type of stressing effect. And you really have to think that, like, even if you're like living in a house or something like that that has air conditioning, you have to think that does the sound of an air conditioning unit being on cause the same effect? You know, because I feel like the only sounds we're really meant to hear is like the sounds of, like, you know, probably birds and bugs chirping at night. Those are the only sounds that are like, you know, when we think of calming things, I think of rain, a thunderstorm, maybe some wind, crickets, bugs, birds. You know, those are like, oh yeah, sounds we like, not air brakes of a truck or a train blowing its horn in the distance or an airplane above or a helicopter above. You know? So it really goes to show you. Makes you wonder. But yeah. Yeah, let me know in the comments if you ever if you think you get used to weird sounds, or if it's like one of those things that is like bizarre, or maybe you're like, huh, I never did get used to that. Because like the funny thing was, at one point in time I was looking to get a house, not a house, but I mean like kind of like rent an apartment thing near it was near a highway, and I was like, whoa, it is really loud. I do not like that. And I was like, I hear trucks, cars, and I'm like, how could anyone live like this? Luckily I did not. Like, I really couldn't afford it anyway, but because rent's so high right now, but goes to show you. I have another friend in the city that he actually has a little backyard, which is really surprising for the area, and we have bonfires. It's pretty cool, and but even then, it's like all the time. There's a hospital near, so like we have all the life flight helicopters pass by, and I'm like, we'll be talking, and it's like, oh, we have to stop talking for a minute because the helicopter's passing overhead. Like, I can't hear myself think, and yeah, there are a lot of planes. And I think over where I live now, there's like there's an airport that's like far away, but it's like in the flight zone. So sadly, we hear airplanes all the time. And then there's the guy. Man, I am just full of complaints today. Then there's the guy that's on a motorcycle who does tricks on my street, like wheelies and all that. He's really loud, and there are days, specifically there are some Sundays in which I'll try to start filming a video, and I think if you watched all of my videos, 25 minutes. I'll try to do a little more, but if you watched all my videos, you will quickly learn that I made one video in which the guy on the motorcycle was there, and I really debated just taking that video down because I was not happy with him going through it. But I was like, I made that video because I barely have any other time to make videos. It's a Sunday. It's a Sunday. This is my day. I should be able to make a video if I want to. So in that video, you'll hear in the background, in the reverb of my microphone, the guy really revving his motorcycle. Yeah. Then there was the other day my neighbors were blasting music. I can't get a break, can I? It was good music though, so. But yeah. So I did a lot. There's always more that I can do. I didn't really practice how I would like to, so I think next time I will do more grind sessions. But I don't know. I may have to hear back what people like. Maybe this is just boring to people, but any feedback is appreciated. It's hard to say if I even drew anything because everything just looks so awful. But the important thing is when you grind, a lot of your stuff is going to look like crap. But do know that all of it adds up to eventually you being able to draw something that actually looks like a plate. You eventually will get to that point. It just takes a lot of experience to get to that point if you're not used to drawing the thing. So don't be afraid to do a grind session here and there, because it's important. It helps you gain muscle memory. It'll help you learn a few things. And the other last important thing is never stop drawing. You're always going to eventually run into trying to draw something which you can't, and it'll be discouraging. But the thing is, you'll have an accumulated amount of failures that have led to a success, and you'll eventually be able to understand how your failures lead to a success of some sort. But yeah, thank you for listening to me rant about all types of stuff in this video. If you like the video, please like it. If you have a question, please ask in the comments. And if you like my channel, please subscribe. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.